So this is the phosphor bronze for the fingers. Now what I was going to do was turn the taper on for these fingers, so they've got the little finger with the point on the end. I think the finger ends up at 1/4 of an inch across at the narrowest point. But I'm not. I'm going to do it backwards way round and put the taper further back, because I'm taking some material off here until the fingers fit into these plungers, so I can keep trying it when I get down to it, because I want to try and make them. I'm calling it an interference fit, and some of you guys might tell me I'm wrong in saying that, but I think an interference fit means you have to press it together, that you could warm that up and it'd slide on. When it cooled down you wouldn't get it off. I call that an interference fit, but I may be wrong, but that's what I'm talking about doing. It suggests in the book that you make the fingers so they'll fit on there, and you super glue them in, or you Loctite them in with Loctite. I prefer them to be a push fit and a permanent out there. No doubt at some point if you ever needed them out you'd be able to get them out, but you might destroy them doing it. It's a bit noisy because I've got gearbox running, so excuse me. It just saves me winding the handle backwards and forwards. No, I haven't. Look at that. Now I'll be able to press them on. What I'll probably do is just make a bit of a chamfer on the inside edge of this to make them start, and then I'll press it on. But that fits perfectly by error. That's because I'm not measuring it, I'm just eyeballing it, winding this carriage across, you know, guess, and it's all wrong really. Shouldn't be doing it like that. It's not a good example of what I'm doing. Right, so now I've done that, let me knock that off. Yeah, it doesn't show any shoulder, it shows the taper going straight down. Two ways I could do this. One would be, yeah, probably a silly way, would be to part it off at exactly the length I need, turn it round and hold it on that piece of work, that piece of bar there, and turn my taper. Because turning a taper in there is never going to be easy. And the only way I can probably do it is put parting tool in and create a groove, and then I can go in with the tool, but it's always awkward because the tool holder, it's going to end up awfully near the chuck. Although eight. Got a lot of a wobble on it. bar is of unknown origin. Right, that's 1/4 of an inch. So basically just need that filing off. Job done. Yeah, that's how it'll look when it's done without that on. But that, like we said, that's the wrong one. I'm going to put these in press and press them in. I might just put a bit of heat on that before I do. So I might go in easier. Okay guys. Okay, so that's the 4 fingers done. All sorted. Pretty much as per that drawing really. So I think there's just one more thing to do on these, and that's this flat to be machined all the way down. That's why I wanted to press them fingers in first, so that I can run the I can lay that in and run milling cutter down, because it might take in some of this. It does show a little bit on the brass finger flat, but this is just, as I said earlier, slightly undersized from the supplied material, the brass, because they're phosphor bronze, which I'm assuming is going to be better. So yeah, apparently you can go right down to a 1/4 piece of bar, you know, 6mm bar with them, because the fingers will come right in. Lovely jubbly. I shall bring you back when we've done some more. I'll probably, it's getting late now, it's 11:15 at night. I'll probably, New Year's Day by the way, yeah, I carried on after we did part 3 of that diesel heater, which been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's 414-105-16 Merlin Tools. It's a 12mm 4-flute carbide solid. God, you can't believe how much heavier they are than a HSS. It's like a piece of lead. Lost it. There you go. So there's 4 to do like that. So that finger is actually complete now. There's no more work to do on that. Yeah, excuse me, I think I've got a bit of a cold. Can't stop my nose running. Yeah. I'm pleased how they've turned out. So I've got the other 3 to do there, which I shall do now, but off camera. As said, there's only a point of doing one procedure if there's 4 to do. No point in showing all 4. Just repetitive. Okay. Right, so that's all the 4 fingers done. Now, I've done a blooper. I've messed up. So those 3 are fine. I did notice when I was pressing these fingers in, these phosphor bronze fingers, that one of them didn't want that hard to press in. Look, I've just pushed it back in. I need to get that out. But it spun round when the milling cutter got to it. It pulled it round. So it's got like a little serration marks. I don't know if you can see it, but like little serration marks all the way around. So it won't affect its operation, but I'll need to try and get that out if I can. Yeah, I can, and run a file around it, and then I'll put some Loctite on that one and put it back. All others seem okay though, and I'm quite pleased with how they've turned out, although it's a simple operation. So the next operation is frightening me to death, and that is to start and drill the holes in that for these to go in. Now, it don't frighten me the fact I've got to drill them. What is frightening me is that when I run that drill through there and it comes to here, it's going to be in the right place. If it's not going to be in the right place, we could end up with a scenario where we have 2 fingers that don't meet perfectly like that. They could be like that, and I don't want them to be, or like that. You know, ideally they want to come together like that. So I'll set up and set up before I drill. Is it Mark Trombley? I think Mark had said, when try and set it up on your compound. Not on my compound, on my cross slide. on the lathe, because I didn't think I had the depth for that plus the drill bit, although I did talk about drilling with a smaller drill first to get it going. I haven't ruled that out completely, but the booklet that's with it, the instructions, which are quite sparse really, must have been written a long time ago, do suggest that you clamp it down onto the lathe bed and pack it up to the right height to get your centre, and then run the drill through it, which is probably a good idea. Yeah, I mean, you could run a centre and put a pip in this end, knowing exactly the same as the pip at that end. You've got your centre in and you're drilling into your chuck. You're probably much guaranteed, and lock all this up, that you're going to get an accurate hole through it. So yeah, Mark, you're probably right. But I will have a look at doing it on the milling machine first, which I would have thought would have been easier to clamp and set up. I mean, the little cross slide on the Myford's got 4 or 5 slots in it, but I don't think I've got any T-bolts, so one thing I'd have to probably do is start making T-bolts to clamp this down, because I haven't got any. Whereas I've got a full clamping kit for the Tom Senior that fits the 12mm ones, so I didn't want to start making something if I didn't have to. Okay guys, I'll come back when I've done a bit more. Right, I've had to do some slight alterations here, because it gives the bore hole for these fingers, the centre line of them is the face of this casting, and it gives a measurement, and this is undersize. Now I haven't removed anything off that. That's the plain back as it came, and that's the front, and I've not taken anything off. Yet that is over 1mm thinner than what it should be. So if I marked it all up where it was going to be for the fingers to go through, then offset from that you've got an M6 thread, which is used with an adapter type thing to pull this up and down. So I marked it all up as per the drawing, and when I did, this edge of the M6 threaded hole that's going in there would have been a fraction under 1mm from this back edge. Now I didn't think that were enough metal. It's aluminium, and I thought that'll break through. I'm sure it'll break through with that. So I've moved it all, and I can't see any reason. I've only moved it a couple of millimetres, but now I've got more meat here. I've got a 4mm gap from the back of that to the centre pot mark for the M6 thread. So I've moved that forward. Only by 2, looking at that 2mm, it just means there'll be 2mm less on these pinchers with this thumb screw idea that presses onto these fingers on that flat to stop it sliding up and down, and they won't want to be silly tight anyway, will they? You'd adjust it and nip it and that'd be it. I don't think it'd start moving, so I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna try and set it up over there. I'll just move camera over while I'm talking to you. So this is just a tap follower. It's the only thing I had that were parallel, that had a point on it, and obviously that's got to line up with the pot mark I've put in there for the main hole. And then I'll bring up the, can we see that? Okay. Yeah, we'll bring that up. I'll put a dead centre in probably, but so that'd come up and sit in. Can't see. There, like that. So I've got to pack this and clamp it to this cross slide somehow. I don't suppose it matters if it's on tilt. It could be like that, it won't make any difference. We're boring with a drill in this end here all the way through. that come all the way through. So my next job is some work holding to try and get that to hold. Okay. Excuse the heater, I've just come in here. So I've made a T-nut for here, and I've taken one off my ray parting tool for there, and I'll make a piece of flat bar or something to come across here to clamp this down. I've managed to get a 20 thou feeler gauge in the back of there, so it's now solid in line with where it needs to be. So yeah, Mark's idea worked out. So I'm going to get this piece of bar cut and drilled, clamp it down, then I can move these out, bring this across, set the put the drill in and start doing some drilling. The only bad thing really is that every time I've done an operation like that one hole, that's the big hole, below it there's the 5mm for the M6 thread to go through. Do I leave it here and jack it up and do it, or do I turn the work and do the other hole and then address the 6mm holes after? Probably. So I'm going to have to make more packings to raise it up. When I got to there, it didn't like that, did it? Started that drill oscillating, hitting this, you can see it, this plate. Oh, so is that drill slightly bigger there? Which I suspect it is, which means that drill isn't long enough. 6.79, it's supposed to be a 6.8 drill. .86. It's going in. Wonder why it did that then. I wonder if I lubricate it. Yeah, I've got this one for the final hole prior to reamering. I mean, on this little screen I can't see much, but I did drop my knee right down, which I'll show you, to see if I had the gap. So that, with my Z-axis motor drive on, is as low as that goes, which is short by, was it an inch or 3/4 of an inch? So from the quill, underneath the quill, which is not that because that's my adapter, is 15 3/4 inches from the bed to underside at quill. Of course, you've always got to have some sort of an adapter in, haven't you? So that reduces that by an amount. So if you hear me heater run. Another success. Right, I'll set reamer up and I'll come back. Unfortunately, I don't have a parallel reamer. I've only got an MT2 taper one. It's an MT1 actually, with an MT2 adapter on it. So that's going to have to go in there. That's a bit wobbly. I suspected it might be. Quite rusty. I'll give it a right good clean out, and that's not a good tight fit either, and that's very rusty, so I'll give this lot a good clean and see if I can make it any better. That's better. I can still see a right little bit. Now, do I do this dry or do a little bit? Well, that's through. Ooh. Oh my god. Wow. Oh, that's fantastic. I thought that were worn out. Oh, that's ace. Well pleased. So now you can see how this works. This flat on here, I'll have two pins in there that slide in and out, made out of quarter steel I think, and then in the middle there's a thread, an M6 and a nut like that, an old nut with a washer under it that is big enough to press the two pins down, so you just nip it and two pins nip onto that flat and stop it moving once you've wound it to where you want it. Oh, that is ace. Well pleased. Well guys, something else that's turned out well. I'm not going to count my chickens though, because there's still a lot to do. And knowing me, I'll make a mess. I'll come back when I've done some more. Right, so the furthest depth that'll go in is that. And that, which is what they said. You just get, so it'll come down to just a little bit of bar, or it'll come right out to what, 137mm or something. And you can get a model steam engine boiler in there if you want to do some work on it. Right guys, so pleased with that. You've seen it. I haven't hidden anything from you. No bloopers that I've covered up, broken bits are out. You've seen it as it is. So I'm going to spin that round and do the other two holes, which this one and then the bottom I'll start, but I'm going to do that and get them into that same position where they're drilled and reamed, and then we'll attack the M6s, and then I think next thing will be drilling it that way. Okay guys, I'm going to knock camera off and do the rest of it off camera. There's my little shim, look. 19 thou. Give all that a clean. Okay. Well guys, I don't know whether to call it at that for part 5 of this and edit it all up, because I've got a lot of video that I did, quite a lot. I'm very pleased with the outcome so far. I'd like to thank all those people that have been watching this little series. How many more it'll go on, there might be another episode or one after that even. So tonight, as you'll see in the videos, we've done these fingers, and we've drilled and reamed and cross drilled with long series drills. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. And is it my fault? Possibly, but one of them, the drill went through there, and when it started to drill that, it must have just slightly run up a little bit, and I'd noticed it once it had gone through that it was too high, the hole. So what I did was I went in with the bigger drill really carefully and just bits at a time, and it actually took out the bottom of the hole more than the top, and sort of possibly corrected it a little bit. And then, as you saw, I've gone through with the reamer, which looked like a worn out old thing, which it was an old thing that I got from wherever, but it's done the job and it's done it good. So all these fingers are in and they're all working slightly tight, maybe with a little bit of a rubbing down, but if I bring all the fingers together, I can possibly show you that it's not perfect. And as I say, that's possibly my fault. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it could be better. I'm pleased with it, and it's not going to affect its operation. I think it's going to work fantastic. Absolutely. So they do slide, as I say, they're a little bit on the tight side, but I'm glad they are. I'd rather them be slightly tight than slack and wobbly. It's going to work fantastic. Whether I'll ever use it or not, I'm not sure. I really are, because I built it more as a project to do than use it. I suppose a lot of guys on model engineering form, they build these lovely little steam engines. I mean, most of them run them on air, which they can do, but they'll run on steam. And I should imagine once they've been built and run a little bit, they go on the shelf and they don't possibly get used a great deal. Maybe when they go to shows and stuff. But yeah, nip over and have a look at Model Engineering Forum. There's some very clever guys on there and some lovely stuff that they've made. Yeah, so there you go. So I think my next job is to put this back up on the lathe again and lift it slightly and drill those holes that I've popped low down. Now that's going to be 5mm for an M6 thread all the way around, and I haven't got a long series 5mm drill, and even if I had, I have a sneaky feeling it'd bend. They're not very strong, so I think I'm possibly going to have to turn it 4 times once I've got it levelled up, and use the fixture I showed you, using 2 centres to line it up through my pop marks. And obviously my only fear there is that I've got my pop marks wrong, but what I did from the back, I set up my digital vernier things and I scratched it. They all say you shouldn't do, but these are an old set that I got given ages ago. So I just set that at 4mm and I scratched from the back and scribe lines and then centre popped. So I know that they're all at 4mm from this flat bed at the back, so it should be okay for me to drill that like that, because that thread has got to follow this finger, so it's no good at being out, they've got to be right. But I'm going to try and do my best, but as I say, I'll have to drill each one individually as opposed to running through with a drill. So thanks for watching this part 5, if you do watch it. I hope you enjoy it. I'll try not to drag on with some jobs too long. Like I said when I began this, I'll do one on camera and the rest of them I'll do off camera, because it's just laborious watching 4 operations being done exactly the same. So it's probably more interesting that way. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you can, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Comment, certainly comment, because it makes a hell of a difference to the algorithm or whatever it is, but it makes a lot of difference to me. I want to know what you think. It's no good watching something and giving me a thumbs up and thinking plonker. I'd rather you come on and say you're a plonker, you're doing it wrong, or you know, you should have done it this way, or you should have done it that way. It's all stuff that I'll take on board, because I'm no pro at this. I'm very much an amateur. Yeah. One series I'd like to do, which won't be a series, it'll be just probably one program, would be to see if I can pick up an inverter from somewhere, 3-phase inverter, because I've had lots of people say to me it frightens folk to death, and some people got electrical minded sort of guy. I mean, I'm an ex-electrician, so it don't worry me, but there's some people that, you know, they think, oh, 3-phase, you heard about blowing yourself up with 3-phase. I don't want to do that. And I wanted to, you see, I've got a 3-phase motor that I took off it's an old Russian one actually, it's stamped USSR. It was on the Tomsini when I bought it. It was actually undersized, it was 1/2 horsepower, it should have been a 3/4 anyway. But if I could just pick up a little inverter from somewhere, second-hand one, cheap, I'll clear the bench at some point and I'll set it all up in a way that I'm going to show you how to wire it, how to connect it, how to connect the motor. Lots of these people on here, and yourselves, possibly a lot of you, know exactly how to do it. There's an awful lot, and I didn't realise how many there were that don't know how to do it, and it frightens them. I'd say the hardest part about it is the programming at the end. Some of the cheap imported Chinese ones don't have a lot of programming. There's a few parameters you set up. I won't go into them. The 2 inverters I've got, one's a Toshiba and one's an Omron. There's 160 parameters or something. It's phenomenal, the things you can do, but you would never want to. You don't need to. And one of the things a lot of people comment on and do is put a remote control panel on, which I've got on both of my machines. I've got a remote control panels that I've built. Now, they're easy to build, and I'll explain to you how to do that. It's just some normally open and normally closed push buttons and an e-stop if you want to put an e-stop on. It's not complicated. However, a lot of people have commented and said that the buttons on an inverter are not meant to be used to control the inverter. That's wrong. I've got quite a few friends that have got milling machines and lathes and inverters with three-phase motors on, and none of them have got, well, not none of them, but quite a lot of them. And I have got quite a lot of friends with machinery don't have no control panel with push buttons on. They use the face panel that's with them. Now these are guys that have had them for years and years and years and never had a minute's bother with them. There's a name for them, the button, not a volatile, tactile, is it? Button, there's just a little click when you touch them on like a little membrane. There's no wrong with them, they'll last forever. So don't ever be frightened about buying an inverter and thinking, well, I can't build a control panel because I won't be able to do it. You don't have to. You've got an inverter, set the parameters up on it, and away you go, use it. At a later date you might decide to build a panel and put it somewhere remote. Some people like to put them at front of the lathe, front of the milling machine where they can get at them easy. Some people, I've got mine up on the wall to the right and behind my lathe. I've had some stick over that, but it's a right arm operation, and my chuck's over on the left, probably over 2 foot away left to it, so not an issue. But yeah, I'll do a video at some point. I hope if anybody wants to comment and say yeah, do it, because there is a lot of people that are not electrically minded and it frightens them, and there's no need to be. Okay guys, so that's the end of part 5. I'll edit it all up, and I don't know whether I'll get it done tonight, but I'll have a go. So what are we on? We're on Wednesday, because it's Leeds United, isn't it, Ellen Road, and Bev's gone down there. She goes and watches. I don't follow football. I ain't got a clue about football. If you stuck some petrol in the ball and a pull start on it, I probably would follow it, because I'm a petrol head, but no, I'm afraid I don't. But Bev's mad on it, absolutely mad keen. Every night she's got different matches on TV, and she loves it, and her brother, she goes with her brother. It's lovely for her, you know, I think it's great. So yeah, me, landlady's a football head and I'm a petrol head. Thanks for watching guys, come back next time, see you later.